Let me start this video off by saying that I am extremely grateful that Nintendo even bothered to make a costume based off Mario's model of Super Mario 64. It's a very nice throwback, and I am extremely grateful and thankful, but this video is simply going over the strange inaccuracies, because for whatever reason, it's not simply the original model. On the right is the official model from Odyssey. On the left is the original model with remapped textures, but it's not important, and longer legs. I'll get to the longer legs in a little bit. At first glance, it looks like the textures are simply darker, but upon closer inspection, there's more differences. For example, the proportions. The shoulders are different, and the body is a bit wider, and the head is noticeably bigger than it should be. Hair is also different. The smoothing is fixed, but it has to be expected. Most people don't notice the smoothing errors, and I'm not even sure how many people ever notice the leg having such weird smoothing. Turn on the wireframe, you'll notice more differences. The topology at the bottom of the feet are different, and the body has a weird symmetry effect applied. It makes sense to use symmetry on the arms and legs. Why the body? The gloves also have some misplaced vertices. Something's weird here. There's more differences than there should be. It's weird. Now, the first argument people use for the different proportions is to match Odyssey Mario's rig. But that's not true at all. See, the arms are quite a bit lower than the actual arms. His body is also really wide, and his legs stick out, compared to the official model, or the normal model. His head is also really big. I mean, the original model is a little bit bigger, but it's not this big. This head is so big that other hats have to use special coating to be bigger when using this costume. The proportions are they're also not for the animations, because since the arms are a bit lower, they're not centered with the actual bones. So no, the rig is not why the proportions are so weird. No, there's a different reason. I believe this model is recreated based off pictures. They did not take the original model and edit it, they used pictures. Because there's no reason to have so many topology differences if you have the original model itself. One thing to support this theory is the top of the legs. They are missing a few polygons. Now, you never notice this because they're always within the body, but there's missing polygons there. Sure, they could have removed them, but that doesn't explain the proportion differences. Being based off pictures answers both questions. Now, this is an oversight, or I believe this is an oversight, but the legs are rigged a bit weird. They actually bend. In Super Mario 64, you can literally count on one hand how many models actually bend. Everything else, though, like every piece is rigged separately. Like they all move and rotate separately. Which the rest of the Odyssey costume does that. It's just the legs that bend for whatever reason. Oh well. Now the textures are also a little bit different. Now, I could try to show you here on the model, but just go to the actual textures themselves. Now the cap, there's a symmetry effect appeared here because this is supposed to be asymmetrical. It's also missing these dots, which you never see in the original model, which again supports the theory that this is based off pictures. I mean, I guess they could have removed them, but why would you change the texture? Why is the texture not the original? See, it's gotta be a recreation. Decent recreation, but a recreation. The eyes, this is also a recreation. These are twice as big as the original texture, and I mean, side by side, it's actually a really good recreation, but it's a recreation. Now, the mustache and sideburns, this doesn't look like a recreation. Because, look here, there's a lot of coloring stuff here. This is more solid colors. Whereas the mustache, the sideburns, it still has a lot of the blurred colors and all that. It's not a solid color. So So this looks to be the original texture, but a little bit skewed, and some missing pixels for the mustache. It's also scaled to be 2 times as big, so it's blurred. But this is not a recreation. So the cap and the eyes are recreated, but not the sideburns and mustache. The button is even weirder. This is the same size as the original texture, but it's blurred, like it was upscaled. It might have been upscaled and then resized back down, but regardless, it's blurred. It's also compressed. You see these big squares here? That happens when you compress the texture a lot. Now this is as it says, it's the same compression used in New Super Bros. Wii, but it is compressed, whereas the original texture is not compressed like this. So this is a blurred, compressed version of the original texture, instead of being the original texture. However, the glove here, this little area is used for the glove. Everything else is unused. We've got brighter colors that are closer to the original, and then this wonderful, extremely faithful HD recreation of the button texture. It's so faithful, it's even got the highlight here, which you barely even notice. This is an amazing recreation. And then everything else is either it's off, it's a lot closer to the original sizes, and not HD. But then you got this HD recreation here. I think that not only was this model based off pictures, it was originally supposed to be like an HD recreation, or at the very least have high quality textures. Like the model itself might not have been planned to be high poly, but the textures at some point were meant to be HD recreations, which I wish we would have gotten that, because that would have been amazing. Because now, since it's not an HD recreation, there's no excuse for it to not be the original model. Now, some people say that this model is smoother than the original, but besides the weird symmetry effect, it's actually not much smoother. The polygon count is still pretty close to the original. 3 differences plus added ones from the symmetry effect, but it's actually not that much smoother. So you've got here a decent, and it's actually, if it's based off pictures, it's actually a pretty good recreation. It could have been a lot worse, but the thing is though, it's Nintendo. Why would Nintendo of all people not have the original model, or at the very least not use the original model? Why would they base it off pictures? Why not just use the original model from the archives, or just download it off the internet? This model has been online, as well as the textures have been online for years, and there's also tools to just extract them from the ROM themselves, which is what I did. I mean, just why would Nintendo of all people not use the original model? Why? If it's not going to be an HD recreation, then just use the original model. There's no excuse for these differences, especially when it's not to fit the proportions of Odyssey Mario. Again, as I said, the original model actually fits really well. You just need to make the legs longer. These proportions, they're just off for no reason. I mean, it's weird. Oh, at some point I'm going to be importing this into Odyssey. I mean, that's why this is even here with the longer legs, and the remapped textures. I'm going to import into Odyssey at some point. Just need to partner with someone actually getting into the game, because I'm not doing anything to my only Switch. I don't want to get banned. I wanted to make this video for a while. In fact, this was actually a redo, because as I pointed out at the beginning of the video, the main argument people use for the proportions is to fit Odyssey Mario's rig, but as I pointed out in this video, that's not the case at all. It's just simply bad proportions, or inaccurate proportions. So, oh well. Bye guys.